This is LRBT2 method statement, question number 7. So they're giving us our claim. So our claim is that bureaucratic mechanisms are engineered to resist change. I love that this is such a short little, it's a short little paragraph here. So that's what we're starting with. Okay. So we were thinking about what is this already? This is a fact, or at least this is a claim from our author, and they already tell us that it's a claim, but this seems like it's some background information. Um, we keep reading to figure out what's going on. So the second sentence says thus. So thus is an indicator that that would be our main conclusion. It's the same as therefore. So thus, despite growing dissatisfaction with complex bureaucratic systems, so that's a fact, something is going on here. Despite this, despite people are really more and more not liking bureaucratic systems, surprise, it is unlikely that bureaucracies will be simplified. So this piece, that's going to be our main conclusion. It is unlikely that bureaucracies will be simplified. Some pointers here. Unlikely. That's coming from our author. Whenever our author makes an evaluative statement, we know that's our nice little main conclusion. I'm going to try to write not terribly here. In this piece, despite growing dissatisfaction with bureaucratic systems, it's just an extra piece of information. And so we're trying to figure out, like, how does this intro sentence fit in? What exactly is it doing? So our author actually gives us a hint. They use this thus. Thus means that there's a conclusion. You cannot have a conclusion without, some premises, the rest of the argument. So this is going to be supporting our main conclusion. Let's say we didn't have thus, like we just have these mechanisms are engineered to resist change. Despite just growing dissatisfaction, it's unlikely that the bureaucracies will be simplified. We're still wondering, why is it unlikely? And it's because of these are mechanisms are engineered to resist change. It's explaining why it's unlikely. So that's another way that we can tell that it is supporting the argument. It's supporting the conclusion. And there's only one main conclusion. The main conclusion is the thing being supported, and the premises are doing the supporting. Anything that is not ultimately the one thing being supported is doing supporting, or it's background information, which in a roundabout way does support. So even we can even look through our answer choices super quickly to see what's going on here. So we've got premise, conclusion. We already know that that is not it. Cited as evidence. Potentially, I don't think we have really evidence, but it's getting at this idea of supporting. Used to weaken. We're not weakening anything. Get rid of that right away. E is a conclusion. It is not. So if you get really good at just kind of breaking down, assigning everything as like a purpose, each sentence has a purpose, you'll get through these questions super quickly. And now we're down to like A and C. Already C, it's like, okay, is this evidence? Not really. We could go with A, but let's kind of just walk through these. So A, it is a premise offered in support of the claim that it's unlikely that bureaucracies will be simplified. Yes, this is so simple. Offered in support of this other claim. Absolutely love it. We're just going to draw a little heart over here. Kind of looks like a butterfly. Okay, whatever. So B, why is it wrong other than conclusion? So the only support offered is the claim that dissatisfaction is growing. No. This is part of the conclusion, and that's a fact. And we can think, does this fact, growing dissatisfaction with complex bureaucratic systems, does that even relate to that first sentence? It doesn't. So that's another reason why it would be wrong. C, it is cited as evidence, not so much, that bureaucratic systems are becoming more and more complex. Well, are we trying to prove that these systems are more and more complex? We are not. The more and more complex should be our main conclusion, and it would have to be if it were true, but our main conclusion is that it's unlikely that bureaucracies will be simplified. It's like a D. D, used to weaken, it doesn't. That bureaucracies should be simplified. Our author doesn't actually go in here and say that they should. They just say it's unlikely that they will. And should is a strong author word. So you would be able to recognize that anywhere, and it doesn't happen here. E, it is a conclusion, it's not, for which the claim that bureaucracies are unlikely to be simplified is offered as support. So they're doing something a little weird here. They're saying, hey, this piece, this main conclusion piece, is actually just supporting, our first statement. That's the reverse of what we're looking for. So just by knowing that that first sentence, the bureaucratic mechanisms, blah, 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 just by knowing that that is a fact, and just by knowing that that's something that's setting up the rest of our argument, we already know that it's a premise. Oftentimes we'll say, oh, that's a claim. They tell us in the sentence that it's a claim. It's our conclusion, not necessarily. Be really careful so you can get A as your answer.